Today's lesson is over dividing whole numbers. You have done division in elementary school, and so today's lesson is more of like a refresher of how to do long division. Our I can statement for today is I can fluently divide multi-digit numbers using long division. Now, sometimes you've maybe been using like partial quotients and things like that, but we're going to be using the standard algorithm of long division. Now, there's a couple of key words of when we're talking about division. We have your divisor, you have your dividend, and you have your quotient. Okay? Your quotient, if you remember correctly, is the answer to a division problem. We're going to talk about divisor and dividend together. Okay? So if you look at this part right here, it says label the parts below dividend and divisor. So your dividend is the whole number, and the divisor is what's dividing up the whole number. So this is what's being divided and by how much. So this is the standard algorithm format. We call this, sometimes you call this the little house. Inside the house is your dividend, and then outside the house is your divisor. Okay, we've also talked about before, and if we don't remember, fractions is also a form of division. What's on top right here is your dividend, so the numerator ends up being the dividend, and your denominator is your divisor. Because if you remember in a fraction, this is the total number of pieces that were divided, and this is how many pieces, what it was divided by. Okay, so this right here is your dividend, and your denominator, like we said, is your divisor. Okay, and this is our typical sentence format, our number sentence format, where we have 437 divided by 19. Okay, I had a lot of people say that the biggest number is the dividend. That's not true. Okay, the first number is the dividend, because what we're going to find out later on is that sometimes your dividend can actually be smaller than your divisor, and that's when we get into decimals and things like that. So next question, we need to figure out, how do I go from this format right here to the house format, the standard algorithm format? So if I have my house, okay, the dividend is what goes inside the house. The first number goes inside the house, so 437, and then our divisor goes outside the house, so 19. You would read this, you would not read this as 19 divided by 437. That's not right. The way we read this is 437 divided by 19, because that's how you read it in this form right here. All right, now that we know what the dividend and the divisor is, as well as the quotient, we're going to move into some practice. So if you see here, you have 1,134 divided by 27. We're going to move that into this grid paper right here so that our work is more organized. So one number needs to go in each box. We don't put more than one number in a box. Okay? So we're going to stop and we're going to ask ourselves. First step we're going to do is ask, how many times will 27 go into 1? Okay? The answer should be 0. 1 is smaller than 27, so that's not going. It's only going to be able to go in there 0 times. So 0, we can put our little multiplication symbol here to remember. 0 times 27 is 0. So when I subtract, I have 1 minus 0 is 1. So then the next step is I bring down the following number. So 11. How many times will 27 go into 11? Well, 27 is still greater than our difference down here, so it's going to go in 0 times. If your divisor is greater than your difference down here, then it's going to be 0. So we're going to subtract. 11 minus 0 is 11. We're going to bring down that 3 right here. Now we have 113. About how many times will 27 go into 113? I want you to stop and I want you to think about that. How many times will 27 go into 113? You could round 27 to about 30, and you could round 113 to about maybe 120. And if you think about it, you go 30, 60, 90, 120. So you have 4. Okay, so 4 could be a possible answer here, and so that's what we could try. If 4 is too big, what we can use is 3, but we're going to try with 4 first based off of our rounding. So 4 times 7 is 28. 8, carry 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 more is 10. Now we subtract. 113 minus 108. So we've got more on more on the floor, so we've got to go next door and get 10 more. So we've got 13 minus 8, so we've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 5. Bring down my 4. And so we know that this is about 30. This could be about 60. So we know that 30 can go into 60 twice. So I'm going to try 2 times. Done with that 2 right there. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry my 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus this 1 right here is 5. We subtract, we get 0, and there's no other numbers to bring down, so that means that we're all done. So our final answer here is 42. Alright, we're going to try number 2, and then I'm going to have you pause the video, and you're going to try number 3 on your own, and then we're going to check it. Okay? So, like we said, the numerator, if we look up here, is the dividend. Okay? And if you look over here, the dividend goes inside the house. So, top number is going to go inside the house. The numerator goes inside. Denominator goes outside. Alright, first step here is to see 18 will go into 3 how many times? Right, 0, because 3 is smaller than 18. So 0 times 18 is 0. I subtract 3, bring down my 6. Okay. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many times will 18 go into 36? If I double 18, 2 times 8 is 16. 2 plus 1 is 3. I get 36. So I have 0. I'm going to bring down my 7. How many times will 18 go into 7? Well, like we said over here, if our divisor is smaller than our difference, then it's going to go in 0 times. So 0 times 18 is 0. Bring down 7. Bring down our 2. So we know that if we double 18, we get 36. If you double 36, you get 72. So then we know we can use 4. 4 times 18 ends up being 72. So we have no remainder. We have nothing else to bring down. So our final answer is 204. Alright, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try setting this up and I want you to solve for it. And then once you've solved for it, I want you to unpause it and see if you got it correct. Okay? Alright, so inside the house should be 5,224 with 8 on the outside. 8 cannot go into 5, so it's going to be 0 times. Bring down my 2. 8 can go into 52 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. And I subtract. I have a leftover of 4. I'm going to bring down my 2. 8 will go into 42 about 5 times because 8 times 5 is 40. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down my 4. Alright, 8 will go into 24. 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. I subtract. 24 minus 24 is 0. So I have a remainder of 0. I have nothing left to bring down, so my final answer is 653. Alright, down bottom, we have a word problem here. And the formula for a word problem with division is total divided by the number of pieces. Okay, so we're going to be looking for our total and the number of pieces. So it says a school supply company is packing crayons in preparation for back-to-school shopping. In one day, the company produces 9,504 crayons. If they are packaged in boxes of 24, then how many boxes of crayons did the company make? So if we go back and we look, finding our important information, the total number of crayons they make in one day is 9,504 crayons. That's a lot of crayons, a lot of coloring going on. And they're being packaged or divided into 24 per box. Okay, so if we look, our total, okay, is 9,504, and it's being divided into 24. So since we know, we've practiced it a couple times now, if we make our house, that 9,504 goes inside and 24 is going to go on the outside of that. So we're going to see 24 go into 9 0 times. 9, bring down the 5. 24 go into 9 about 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. When I subtract, I get 23. Bring down my 0. If I look here, I see a 24. If I multiply 24 times 10, I just tack that 0 onto 24, so that would be 240. 240 is greater than 230. So I'm going to try to go down a number, and I'm going to try 9. Okay, 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, 9 times 2 is 18 plus 3, so 18, 19, 20, 21. When I subtract, I've got more on the floor, so I have to go next door and get 10 more. 10 minus 6 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. 0, 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down my 4. 24 will go into 44 6 times. I get 144. 0 remainder. So then I know I am done. So my final answer is 396 boxes.